Mate, have you seen this desk setup? A pegboard literally floats up from a standing desk to reveal a secret workbench. Now I've thought of some changes to simplify that design, so it could be built in under an hour, including functionality improvements. On the surface, it seems simple, but I've spent a fair bit of time figuring out important considerations and discovered issues along the way. It ain't gonna fit. Now, obviously full credit goes to the original creator. However, I didn't know who it was because I saw the first post on Instagram as a reshare, but through the comments, I tracked down on Bilibili, which is like Chinese YouTube, and translated, I believe the creator is Yajie does not work overtime. Now, whilst he's used this to lift his PC setup out of the way, I have different intentions in the room next door. If you watched my last video, you would have seen that in this room, I've been printing full 3D color texture onto anything thanks to my new UV printer. The problem is, more machines means I need more space. If you're like me, this design brings a whole new perspective of standing desks from being a boring sit-stand to now a hoist. That's heavy. See, I pitched this idea to FlexiSpot and they agreed to sponsor this project because my idea would not work without a bolt-together frame design like their E7 Plus standing desk legs. Simply put, this has 4 legs and dual motors, and the only drive shaft like bar is required between the legs on the left and right side. Now, you might be thinking, Cam, why is this so important? Well, with a standard 2-leg standing desk, there's normally a drivetrain running between on a single motor. However, this is a dual motor, so this bar technically isn't needed, but for most frames like this one, it's bolted into the motor and then the frame of the center bolts into the mount for the desktop. So I can't easily remove this. Now, if we look at Yajie's video, you can see there is that bar between the 2 standing desk legs, which means when the desk is down, you've got a desk frame, desk top, standing desk leg frame, standing desk top. It's quite a thick palm to top of thigh distance when sitting at the desk. However, with my design, I'm hoping I can fit the normal desktop inside of a 4-legged standing desk frame. Oh, that's good too. They've got like protection on the corners so it doesn't get damaged in transport. I like that. Now the desktops were also provided by FlexiSpot. They are just cheap chipboard and unfortunately came with a few marks out the box, but you can always buy just their E7 Plus frame and then add desktops from a local supplier with a custom size. So if we try and use the stock support, it ain't gonna fit, right, with both of them. So if I move the front one, we should be able to move the back one back. Yeah, no, that fits, just. Since the default crossbeam has mounting tabs on the inside edge, I simply swapped the left and right bars, so now the mounting tabs were on the outside edge, so we can get closer to the small desktop. That's so good. Now the support bars and motors all wrap around the outside edge of that small desktop. Oh yeah, man. The idea is coming to life. There is a problem. This box needs to be a specific orientation. Can I put it vertical? But before I can mount the electronics, I need to mount the pegboards. I know I have some right angle brackets in my supplies. That's House Extra Supplies. Yeah, that's a heavy duty bracket. Silver. Oh, small brackets. I reckon these little ones should be enough. Oh, they slide underneath. Yes. Does the big one slide underneath? No. Shout out to my wife that grabbed me a pair of IKEA Skadis pegboards when she was last in Melbourne. I would recommend taking these to a hardware store and just finding a right angle bracket where the holes align with the mounting holes. Dude, IKEA is so big brain that the spacing flows between boards. I also 3D printed a 40mm spacer with solid PETG filament. This will go where that front support bar was that I removed. I will also link a solid metal one in the description below if you need to buy it. Now I'm fully aware that you probably plan to use the standing desk portion with a computer. And to that, I say, do it. Like, mate, I absolutely love my standing desk legs. Ever since I bought them like 6 months ago, complete game changer. In the morning, have discovered I get the sit down slow downs, the term I'm gonna coin, because if I sit down at my PC, I just get like tunnel vision, time melts away, a 10-minute task could be done in like an hour. Whereas if I'm standing, I'm more likely to like just be moving around, doing a task, get bored, move over and do something else, come back, do the next task, and I'm more likely just to like hit through my list of to-dos. I don't know why, but standing for me just works. What may not work though on the new desk is that control box. Okay, let's solve the electronics problem. See, this is a dual motor control box. Inside is a gyroscope, which measures if the desk is level. If one motor is moving too fast, it'll slow it down to ensure the desk rises without tilting your stuff off it. Instructions say it needs to be mounted flat against the underside of the desk, but that's where my small desktop goes. So I have to mount it vertically, and there's only one way to find out if that will break it or not. I'm not super confident that it will work. It's got power. Oh, it's going up fine so far. What the heck, bro? How hard does this go? So, turns out you can make that control box vertical. Now, I'm not gonna bore you with the ins and outs of building this standard desk. I just stole some legs from an old desk I had and bolted them to the new desktop. But then I realized I need to go buy a foot guard of some sort. I could cut down this old bench top. See, Yardgear has this semi-transparent kick protection board for the pegboard, which is a fantastic idea. Now, you can buy desks with something similar built in. They're called modesty panels, intended for work offices where chicks are wearing skirts. But I figured I'll just 3D print some S brackets and then mount the old desktop that I stole the desk legs from as my kickboard protection. Alternatively, I would use make a bracket. If I didn't have a printer, you can just bend this metal with your hands, cover it in tape to protect from scratches, and then drill it in place. You might remember I used this for the amp under Brett's desk when I bolted bass shakers to his chair. That was a fun project. Oh, I love this. Alright, the little desk. Ah, it's working. This is not a drill. Yeah. Right, for the first time, together, let's do it. Stand. Oh shit. No, when that just starts to appear, that's badass, man. Oh my days. Oh, this feels so cozy. It's like a little nook. It instantly feels like I'm in this little cocoon of like focus. I'm never gonna look at a standing desk normal ever again. Okay, I'm excited. Now I need to like customize all this. Whoa, that is bright. How's that for ASMR? Now, before buying the parts to build something similar, I put together a list of the most important factors and specs to help you. Starting with weight limit. This desk can lift 200 kilograms, which is perfect for heavy machinery on top. Now you might remember, I removed this front support bar so that I could have the most minimal top of palm to top of thigh gap between the two desktops. However, its chipboard may sag over time, and if it does, I would then just buy some aluminium right angle, screw that across the front edge, and with that metal being thin, it would simply wrap over the front edge of this bottom desk. Otherwise, I would get a solid wood desktop opposed to chipboard, but only time will tell. I am 6 foot tall, and to ensure that there was clearance for my head when I was in a relaxed seated position, I needed 3-stage legs. That simply means that there are 3 segments of the legs that slot into each other, enabling them to extend to 130 centimeters, which is essential for that head clearance. Now, up until this build, I only had 2 preset use cases for a sit-stand desk, seated and standing. But with this controller having at least 4 different height presets, it's perfect because you can have one for seated using the top desktop. This is sick. One for standing using the top desktop, and one for seated underneath the top desktop where it's at that maximum height. It also has collision detection.
I'm so glad that works.
And then there's stability. If I lean on my desk in the studio, you can see it tilts forwards because there's only one leg on each side. So it's like pivoting like this on the top. But with 4 legs, well, mate, I'm like bending the bench top now, opposed to flexing against my leg. It's like going all the force into the 2 front legs. The only other issue I have with these generic dual legs is if I push from left to right, it wobbles a probably general amount for a desk this high, but from front to back, it's quite easy to wobble it. And in the video when I installed these legs, I put most of that wobble down to carpet that is thick with an underlay. But these 4 legs actually wobble more left to right. Like, it's a lot easier to shake it. And I think it's because there's these rubber grommets between the metal frame and the desktop, allowing it to have that little bit of movement. And remember, I did remove that cross brace for support, but if I push it forwards to back, I would say there's less movement than the dual legs, probably because there's double the legs in that axis. You will notice, however, the pegboard wobbles, and that's because I haven't got any support on these sides to stop it from moving. Not an issue though, because I ran the UV printer and it only made a scraper and the scissors slightly wobble compared to everything else. And I ran a 3D print torture test for shaking 500 millimeters a second movement. Same thing, only that scraper that's lightly dangling moved. This is the normal desk comparison, the same mount that I'm pushing the others. And this is the other desk in the studio, which is more of a standing height. What's important is I can lean on it and it doesn't flex, unlike the dual leg standing desk I've got. So I might have to hit up FlexiSpot to get a 4-legged for this. Final word of warning is that you can't just use any 4-legged desk though. This Desky quad sit stand frame has 4 motors. It's essentially 2 dual motor legs bolted side by side, which means you've got like double the middle crossbars that you can't remove to make sure that you get that minimum desktop height that I did today. Mate, as always, I encourage you to shop around for the best deal, but the FlexiSpot E7 Plus frame just works for this project. Currently $500 US for the frame only. It's always sub 1,000, and I've got a $50 off coupon in the description below. That's it. If you like this video, thumbs it. If you loved it, sub it. I've got everything else linked in the description below, except for right angle brackets, as I used random ones. I'll try and find something, but just take the pegboards to a hardware store, grab a bracket that works, screw it in, done. Love it. Catch you next time.
How freaking cool is that? Oh.